To say that I have a biased interest in this week's episode is not even a joke. Common Interest is my favorite all-time episode of Code Lyoko. Don't ask me why. Could it be morbid curiosity? Probably. Could it be the most creative of the most simplistic of plot lines? Yeah. Could it be the most weird, out there idea for a Xana attack ever? Yeah. It's probably a combination of all three. I can tell you what it's not, though. It's not the morbid curiosity of seeing Aelita have three straight random heart attacks. Two, two of them being completely random and one of them being on purpose so that the end of the episode can happen. No, it's not that. Oh, though, it brings back the season's main mission, I guess you can say, back into a greater focus. And actually implies it to use it for something useful. And apparently, in the world of Code Lyoko, one nuclear battery can last 37 episodes. It's funny that the idea of the nuclear battery that powers the supercomputer is never ever brought up again. So I guess when Xana had it replaced, he found one with an infinity mode because this is never brought up. But anyway, why all this? Well, it's this simple. The nuclear battery in the computer is dying. If you know anything about a computer's battery that's dying, you're not going to get anything done. Xana knows this. And to pull this off, he actually goes high end criminal mastermind to pull this off with a random criminal known as Peter Duncan, who is known for doing some really nasty stuff. Kidnapping, among other things. In fact, it's odd who gives the full rap sheet for this dude. And trust me, there's a reason he's being transported via armored van. But if you know anything about armored vans, animated shows, and hardened criminals, you might as well call them rent-a-cops, because thanks to Xana, that's what they're quickly reduced to. But Xana, and by connection, weird connection, Aelita have a problem. The supercomputer is on low battery power. Somebody forgot to put it on the charger all of a sudden. This creates two effects. Reads Xana can't stay in control of Peter Duncan that long, and most importantly, for Aelita, she kinda dies. And I don't mean kinda, I mean straight up. Flatline, beep, call it, time of death, dead. Fact, this will happen three times in the episode. Once during a math test, an algebra test of all things, for a girl. The second while in the hospital recovering from the first. Once again, computer on the fritz. And the third time, actually on purpose this time. This creates some weird stuff. The super scanner not working as properly. properly. Xana going in and out of control of Duncan. Just things you would have never seen in the previous season before. This season's doing it. And with the weird undertones, it also throws this one into the really weird bed. It's up to the Lyoko Warriors to do what they normally do, but also try to figure out how to keep the computer going. That's mainly Jeremy's task. And in this episode, for once, he's actually competent. So I'll leave the poor glasses blonde alone. At least for this episode. I won't be saying the same next week, though. But it's strange. Oric and Odd find the tower, only to have the computer shut down again, which causes Ryoko to actually start deleting itself. It leads to a very tense moment before you can put it on 1% airplane mode again, and they manage to get back out of there. But, but most importantly, Aelita, upon the second time, finds out what's really going on, and she's not very much in the optimistic positivity, as one would when your life relies on a nuclear battery being installed. Yes, I know. The premise of this episode is insanely over the top. And you almost have to, it's Pinkie Pie, don't question it, in order to even have fun with this one. But it's the idea that they're going this far, and trust me, this season ain't even done taking risk yet, and that you get a concept like this. You want to know how much I love the episode? I took a minute detail. The fact that Aelita's hospital room in this episode is 117, which happens to be Master Chief's Spartan number. I used that number as the premiere date for this very series back on January 17th. That's right. That's how much I love this fluky, weird, little eccentric thing. And yes, the nuclear battery does get replaced, and Senna just so happened to be so courteous to give Jeremy a radiation suit. And he still wanted to kill him. You do realize you could have killed the boy if you just don't give him the anti-radiation gear? I guess Santa really does just want the kids to suffer. Although death by radiation poisoning is pretty suffering too, so I don't get the logic there. But the battery is replaced, everything is good, and Xana loses again. And Jeremy manages, because he's in the right placement, to give a nice double axe handle to the back of Peter Duckin's head before he's hauled off the jail. Good. Justice is served twice. But the notion of common interest pairs perfectly with last week's episode of Marabunta in the sense that they're both about Xana's lengths of self-preservation. He's willing to do anything. And the evil computer virus says everything to stay alive, even if it means possessing, kidnapping, setting up, and even if we saw last week, allying himself with his very foes. If it means he dies, if he doesn't, he'll do the strangely right thing. There'll be another episode later in the Aelita Diaries run where this need for self preservation will be put to its biggest green light. But we'll get to that. But these two episodes are the perfect chain that it's not only the good guys fighting to survive, it's even the evil villain itself, which makes the dynamic between the warriors and Xana interesting. It's a survival story on both ends, but you wouldn't think of this greater context given the goofy, somewhat outlandish, and over the top framing of the episode. But it's because of this framing that it is endlessly entertaining and rewatchable. Trust me, it's not the weirdest episode of season two's lot. We're gonna get to that in 2 weeks, but it is most certainly the first of these. Common interest might be my personal 6 out of 6, but I won't let my personal love of this episode automatically give it a good score. It's a 4. It relies so heavily on you just having to buy the gimmick that it might actually turn you off in some aspects. And of course, seeing the cute little pink haired girl go through 3 repeated heart attacks may cause people to be a little bit uncomfortable, and especially for the sake of the plot. But if you can get over these two somewhat major gripes and just have fun with the whole thing, common interest is sneakily important to the morals and ethics of Code Lyoko's battle between the two sides. But even if you don't think that deep, it's an entertaining, fluky, and different ride. But next week, Jeremy, I gave you 1 week of mercy, and then you screw it up again. Next week, we talk about temptation. And maybe after temptation, I finally deliver. It's time for me to unpack nearly 20 years of Jeremy Balquaw hate. It's time It's time for me to rant. So much so that for one time only, I'm bringing something old back. And if you're a fan of this channel, you know what that something old is. Jeremy, your time of justice is nigh. But until next week, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. Find peace in your own Nirvana. But for Jeremy Belcroix, there will be no more peace coming his way.